Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Sunday night, what did I say? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the What Did I Say show? The show where I hold us accountable for all the shit talking and shenanigans we got up to on the Thursday night, in this case, Friday night, episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. So, if you have missed out on all of the shitstorm that was this weekend in the combat sports world, you have missed quite a bit. First and foremost, the biggest thing. Dana White called me a freaky looking creep on Instagram and went back at me back and forth a half a dozen times before he wished me a great weekend. It was an interesting time, to say the least. What started that actually was the fact that Mackenzie Dern had spoken out last week and said that she had heard that Mark Zuckerberg had basically rented out the entire Apex for a private show to watch UFC Vegas 61 yesterday. Dana White came out on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe, and said that's complete and utter bullshit. Spoiler alert, flip ahead to last night. The Apex is empty except for Mark Zuckerberg and his crew and Dana White. So Dana's still insisting that Mark Zuckerberg didn't technically, quote unquote, rent out the Apex. So he basically gave him the entire Apex and let him watch this card for free on his own. So more lies and bullshit from Dana, but he's on vacation for a week now, so I don't expect we'll hear anything from him. That being said, let's rewind a little bit and start back at the beginning of the nonsense compilation pile that we've got for this weekend's punchy, kicky goodness. So we're going to go back and forth a little bit here. I'm going to start at the end and jump back to the beginning because it just makes it easier that way. BKFC 30 was last night, and it was fucking horrible. Worse than most of the other shows, I would say. Just not good fights in general. And then the co-main event, which to my credit, I called first round knockout by Big Ben Rothwell. He is a bad motherfucker, and if they keep him appropriately matched, he's going to hurt a lot of people over there. That being said, the big story is the main event. The cruiserweight title, which was up for grabs and should not have been. Lorenzo Hunt versus Quentin Henry, neither of which deserve any even mention in a conversation about a title, let alone being in an actual title fight. And yet here we were. And then it gets worse because in the opening 5 seconds of the fight, literally, the bell rings, Lorenzo Hunt charges across the ring, slams into Quentin Henry, uppercuts him by basically putting his head below Henry's chin and slamming the top of his head into the bottom of Quentin Henry's chin, knocking him down. And then while he's on the ground, proceeds to throw and land a shot at him, which is 100% illegal in any form of boxing, including bare knuckle boxing. For some reason, the fight is stopped. Quentin Henry seems like he is completely unconscious. Seems like he's knocked out cold. His corner manages to rouse him back up and get him back on a stool. You can see he's clearly kind of out of it. But Dan Miragliotta doesn't stop the fight officially, doesn't take a point, doesn't even so much as give a fucking warning to Lorenzo Hunt. Now, the whole time that we're waiting to see how this is going to play out, the commentators are repeating the fact that according to the unified combat rule set, unified boxing rules that according to MMA and boxing both apply in this particular situation, when a foul or an illegal shot is thrown, the impact of the shot is not what determines if it is illegal or not. The intent of the strike. He clearly had 100% intention on punching Quentin Henry while he was on the ground and presumably already knocked out. The fact that he didn't even so much as get a fucking warning, let alone a point taken, let alone a disqualification like it fucking should have been, and then went on to fucking brag about doing that in the aftermath shows that A, BKFC is fucking trash. I don't care how good some of their fights are, the organization is fucking trash. B, Lorenzo Hunt is a fucking scumbag piece of shit. Lorenzo, come fucking see me if you don't like it, you fucking clown. Fuck you. Anyways, on past BKFC, because that was fucking infuriating to say the least. We will flip back over to the Bellator card. Where did we start Bellator? Here we go. To be fair, the Bellator prelims were Bellator prelims. It was literally a decision in every single match, and most folks won't know most of the names on there. That being said, words. Lance Gibson Jr., Julia Budd's son, our son-in-law, I don't remember the exact whatever, had a pretty decent match, but again, went to decision, wasn't the most exciting. Bobby Soriano III, interesting fight, went to decision, not that exciting though, so what are you going to do? But we get to the main card here. Juan Archuleta just ever so fucking slightly squeaked out a decision win against Enrique Barzola. To be fair, this is probably the worst we have seen Enrique Barzola look since he signed with Bellator. And that's kind of disappointing because he's looked fucking great up until yesterday. Unfortunately, in looking like shit yesterday, he actually made Juan Archuleta look pretty good without actually having to ever really do anything. So Juan Archuleta gets the win, but then steps on his own dick with both feet. And I would like to take just a moment on this tiny little podcast of mine to say, fuck you, Juan Archuleta, you fucking sellout piece of shit. Because Juan Archuleta took his moment in his post-fight interview to give praise to Hans Smolenkamp, the Monster Energy piece of shit who has been holding athletes hostage, basically, for social media clout in exchange for Monster sponsorship. Fuck Hans Smolenkamp and fuck Monster Energy. They will never sponsor this podcast. I would never give them the option to do so. And in case you missed it, fuck Hans Smolenkamp, just for good measure and for clarity. So by association, now fuck you, Juan Archuleta. I don't want to see you win anymore. You fucking scumbag. That being said, not predictably, because obviously nobody could see something like that coming, but unfortunately, one of the highest anticipated fights on the Bellator card last night actually well, I guess technically it did start, but it fell out pretty fucking strangely. In round one, against Jeremy Kennedy, Aaron Pico dislocates his shoulder and you can see it pop completely out. And while the fight is happening, you see him trying to pop his shoulder back in, survives the end of the round, goes to his corner. Brandon Gibson literally grabs and yanks on his fucking arm. I mean, fucking hard, trying to pop it back into place. I think he yanked on it a half a dozen times, and you could see the bone sticking out the side of Aaron Pico's shoulder. His shoulder was completely dislocated at the very least. It was not in place, and it was not going back in place. Aaron Pico, being the tough motherfucker that he is, gets up off the stool and says, fuck it, we'll deal with it, and goes to try and get back into the fight. Clearly the referee can see, there's something wrong with your fucking shoulder. They bring in the doctor. The doctor, before he can say a word, Aaron Pico says, I'm good, I can fight. Doctor immediately and audibly says, that looks like a broken clavicle at the very least. Aaron Pico insisted, I can fight, doc, I'm fine, I can fight. Doctor says, okay, go like this. He puts his right hand all the way up and his left hand gets to here, and he cannot raise his arm. He's trying and he's forcing it, but you can see there's something clearly wrong. So they did the right thing and called off the fight. Aaron Pico did not even hang around in the ring long enough to find out or to hear the announcements read. He literally, as soon as they stopped it, starts walking down the fucking ramp, heads right to the back. And as he gets in the back, while they're reading the announcement, his coach is already cutting his gloves off and they are taking him to the hospital. So I haven't seen this afternoon what all has come of it, but hopefully that is nothing fucking serious, because that one was fucking bad. And that'll bring us to the co-main event. First and foremost, the bullshit that went on with Spike Carlisle in the California State Athletic Commission needs to be addressed. They used a shitty, cheap digital scale that he pointed out was bouncing weight with no one standing on it, and he actually ended up missing weight by 0.4 pounds. While he's standing there yelling at the commission about their shitty scale bouncing 0.2, 0.4 with no one on it, they wouldn't check it. They wouldn't recalibrate it. They wouldn't bring them another scale. They also had the shortest weigh-in window we have seen in a long time. Instead of a usual 2 to 3 hour window with an hour allotment if you miss weight and need to come back, they had 1 hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., period. Regardless of if you made weight or missed weight, you had 1 hour to weigh in for this Bellator fight, which was weird unto itself. Spike Carlisle clearly has fucking hair down to his ass, shows up at the weigh-in, and says, my hair is wet. You guys didn't tell me I only had an hour. This isn't a normal weigh-in. I've never missed weight in my life. I'm a professional. This is bullshit. I want a new scale. I want a chance to weigh back in. They wouldn't give him one. Needless to say, it lit a little bit of a fire under Spike Carlisle's ass, and going into the fight, he came flying out literally the opening bell with a flying jumping sidekick to come at AJ McKee. Spike Carlisle was never really terrible. He went 5-0 in the UFC. He just, for whatever reason, wasn't what they were looking for, so they let him go. He came out and was giving AJ McKee the fucking business. There were a couple times where AJ was getting the better of Spike, but it was only momentarily. Overall, I am 100% certain, having gone back and rewatched the goddamn fight, the judges got this one wrong. I think Spike actually did win this. I think you could make the argument that it could have been called a draw because of the few moments that AJ McKee did get in some of the submission attempts and some of the control time. But overall, damage-wise, strike count-wise, just visibly speaking, Spike Carlisle won that fight. And the big point about that is that after all the shit talking that AJ McKee has done, he barely got past Spike Carlisle with the luck of incompetent judging. He's not going to have a good run at 55, because I like Spike Carlisle, but Spike Carlisle is literally the lowest man on the fucking totem pole in that division right now. And he barely squeaked past that with the help of gracious judges. If you give him any legitimate 55-pound talent, AJ McKee is going to be in very big fucking trouble. And I look forward to seeing it, because he, much like several other folks we have talked about tonight, is a fucking scumbag piece of shit. Fuck AJ McKee and his racist ass daddy. They can both suck the dirtiest spot on my balls and tell him I fucking said so. Come see me, bitch. Fuck them. That being said, that will bring us to the main event on that Bellator card last night. Adam Boric versus Patricio Pitbull for the 145-pound belt. You know, I've got to say, I'm a fan of Adam Boric. I'm a fan of Aaron Pico. I have very strong feelings that those two are going to be two of the top contenders in that division in the future. Pico's injury obviously puts a little bit of a monkey wrench in things, but then Boric gets out there and I don't know if they just didn't game plan properly or if the game plan itself was just very flawed, because Boric was giving it for all she was worth. He was trying his ass off, but nothing he did was really stopping or making much of an impact on Patricio. And Patricio, several of us were talking about this during the fight. He looked very clearly like he was phoning in that fight. Like he just set autopilot, knew he was going to win, and didn't put out any actual fucking effort. Oh, there's the end of the game. 41-31. Fuck you, Tom Brady. Chiefs win. Red Kingdom. That being said, no, Adam Borich you've seen the improvements that he has made in his game since he got signed and made his debut. He is absolutely tearing his way to the top, but for whatever fucking reason, when he got in there against Pitbull last night, he just didn't look like he was ever able to actually get anything going or actually make anything happen once he actually got in the cage. And it's not like Patricio was doing anything particularly impactful to stop him or doing anything to really shut him down. He just couldn't ever get his feet underneath him and really get anything going for him. So Patricio is and still 145-pound champion and is now talking about possibly going down to 35 pounds since Aaron Pico since Aaron Pico was Aaron Pico, he said, was likely going to be his next opponent if he made it through Boris, which he clearly did. But with Aaron Pico injuring his shoulder, he said, there's not really a whole lot of reason for me to keep staying around at 45 right now since I don't have much of a challenge up there. I think I'm going to go try 35. I don't know, man. He's not a big featherweight. He did fight at lightweight a little bit, but even then he was tiny. He's smaller than his brother. Patricky is the bigger of the two Pitbull brothers, not by much, but he is bigger. Patricio might be able to make 35. I don't know how effective he's going to be down there, especially with some of the fucking killers down at 35 right now, but I'm interested to see if he does make the jump, and if he does, how he fares down there. That being said, that will flip us back over to the fun part of the evening, kind of. The UFC Vegas 61 DernVsYan card bought out by Zuck. So, opening the goddamn card, Guido Canetti came out very angry and just got to fucking work. Round one, rear naked choke with no hooks, was laying on top of him, getting the choke in and got the tap. Beautiful fucking work from a guy in Guido Canetti who really needed some good fucking vibes going his way and a solid W in his column after what we've seen him go through so far. That being said, I've said it before. I stand by the opinion, and I'll repeat it once again. Julia Stoliarenko never belonged in the UFC. Not the first time after she was disappointing as all get out on The Ultimate Fighter. Not the second time after the UFC had already cut her and she ran some wins up on the local circuit. She never belonged in the UFC, and it was very, very clear the way that Chelsea Chandler put the fucking business to her. She obviously needs a little bit of work herself. She's still a little rough around the edges, Chelsea is, but not terrible. And she just fucking ragdolled Julia from fucking start to finish there, as a lot of us thought she was going to. So good for her. Get Stoliarenko the fuck out of the rank, or the fuck off the roster. She never belonged there to begin with, let alone a second fucking time. That'll bring us to Brandon All-In Allen making absolute fucking lightning fast work of Krzysztof Jotko, which is unbelievably impressive considering what we've seen Krzysztof Jotko do lately. Rear naked choke right out of the fucking jump. Beautiful work by Brandon Allen. Also pretty good work on the mic in the post-fight callouts as well. Very interested to see how those play out, if they do. Here we go. Uno momento. Poop. Okay, there we go. Let me pull this card up. No, I'm missing something here. I know I'm missing a fight. No, Costa got. Chelsea beat the shit out of Julia, round 1 KO. Good on her. Brandon Allen with the round 1 submission. No, I guess I didn't miss one. Okay. Joaquin Silva versus, or I'm sorry, I believe they said his name is Joaquim. Not Joaquin like the traditional pronunciation. Joaquim Silva versus Jesse Ronson. Another fucking pretty one-sided match. Jesse Ronson came out trying to give him as good as he could fucking get, but Silva just too goddamn slick, man. Too fucking smooth, too fast, too unstoppable in this matchup here. Not that Jesse Ronson is any kind of a world breaker or anybody that we're, super high on right now, but that ain't it. Silva got it and gave it to him. That being said, Ilir Latifi was garbage at light heavyweight. Now he's garbage at heavyweight. Even the commentators were making a point to mention that he has gotten so fucking fat. He has a literal collar ripple of skin going completely around his body. I am smaller than Ilir Latifi, and that is kind of crazy to me. So, that being said, he has zero skills. He is a fucking can. All he literally did was lay on top of Alexei Oleinik and give him an actual wet blanket treatment for 3 rounds. Didn't wrestle, didn't try and ground and pound, was not attempting submissions. He literally just lay and prayed on Alexei Oleinik to stop him from being able to do any of his jiu-jitsu or any of his fucking judo for 3 minutes and got a pathetic fucking decision win from the judges, and then had the balls to say that not only does he deserve a bonus for that, but that since Zuckerberg's there, he should get an extra bonus from Mark Zuckerberg. Fuck yourself, Latifi, you goddamn soup can. That being said, that will bring us to the the new premier prelim, because several fights got moved around and gotten scratched off and shit for this card. John Castanado versus Daniel Santos. Excuse me. They went back and goddamn forth, just giving the fucking business to each other there. Crazy high-paced fucking action. I think it was 141-pound catchweight is what they ended up calling it. Santos got fucking waylaid in the first round and came back to knock Castaneda out in the second. Just absolutely crazy. Castaneda with the fucking crazy beatdown in round 1, and then Santos with a beautifully timed and placed fucking knee in round 2 to drop fucking Castaneda and then put him out ultimately. Good fight. A lot better fight than it had any right being. A lot better than I think anybody really thought it was going to be. That being said, though, that'll bring us into the main card. Or what became the main card. God damn it. Keep yawning, sorry. Opening fight on the main card. Mike Davis versus Vajas something Slad Borishow. They call him Slava Claus. He's another garbage ass soup can coming in off the Contender Series when he shouldn't have. And Mike Davis beat the shit out of him. Basically just beat him top to bottom for 3 solid fucking rounds. Davis dominated him from the opening bell to the closing bell. There was nothing at any point in that fucking fight that Slava Claus ever did to put Davis in any kind of fucking trouble. And again, another fighter I firmly believe should not have been signed to the fucking UFC off his garbage performance on the Contender Series. But he's here, so we got to deal with him. Luckily enough, they gave him Mike Davis, who beat the shit out of him for us. So thanks, Mike. That being said, Super Sadiq Youssef, one of the few names that I will openly admit has come off of the Contender Series to prove to be a legitimate talent in the UFC. Granted, from earlier seasons in the Contender Series when the competition was still a little stiffer, but God damn it. Taking on last minute replacement, Don Shanis. I have no doubt that Don Shanis thought he was prepared for this fight and that he'd been working to get himself into what shape he thought would prepare him for this fight. But unfortunately for him, It just was not meant to be. Super Sadiq Youssef comes out in round one in history-making time. 30 seconds start to finish for submission in round one. Fastest featherweight submission in UFC history, I believe. He came out, nailed Don Shainas with a fucking flying knee out the gate, got him to the ground, and then front choked the fuck out of him. All said and done, 30 seconds start to finish. Fucking Super Sadiq, man. We've seen him fuck up a couple times here and there, but nothing major and nothing that couldn't have been fixed clearly. He is back on his fucking game and at it. Good job, Super Sadiq. That'll bring us to Hayani Barcelos versus Trevin Jones. Man. Again, not that Trevin Jones is any kind of a fucking world beater or anything like that, but Hayani Barcelos came out and just absolutely ran that fucking show from the opening bell to the fucking close and gave him a 15-minute lesson in what it looks like to fucking control a fight. A little disappointed that he wasn't able to put together enough to finish it, because this is one of the few fights that went to decision that looked like there could have been a potential there. Hayani Barcelos could have put the pedal down a little bit more and maybe gotten Jones out of there towards the end of it. But either way, he comes home with the W, so good on him. Oh, man. And then that brings us to the co-main event. My toe. Excuse me, bless me, whatever the fucking thing is. Sneeze. Randy Rude Boy Brown versus Francisco Massarandubo Trinaldo. Man, for 43 years old, Francisco Trinaldo is still scary as shit. He's kind of like a little bit smaller representation here. Excuse me, visage, if you will. Almost a shrunk down Yoel Romero, if you will, Brazilian Yoel Romero. He does not look like he should be able to make welterweight. He looks like he walks around about 250 fucking pounds, but good on him for getting in there at 43 and giving it for all his fucking work. Randy was just seeming a step ahead. Like, it didn't necessarily look like Trinaldo was the half step behind. It just looked like Randy was just a little bit further ahead, a little bit further out, a little faster, a little better reaction time, if you will. Not terrible, but not the greatest fight for Randy Brown. He clearly still has some things he needs to get back in the gym and work on, mainly staying calm in the fucking pocket. But he got his W. Good on you. That being said, that will bring us to the main event of the evening. I say unenthusiastically because no one other than Mark Zuckerberg was excited to watch this fucking fight. I've said it before and I will say it again. Mackenzie Derp is fucking garbage. She is a definition of a one-trick pony. She only, and I mean only, has her jiu-jitsu ability. Her fucking striking is atrocious. Her wrestling for a jiu-jitsu practitioner was fucking laughable. Horrible on both counts, and even to such an extent that her jiu-jitsu was almost seeming to fail her, because the few times where she had Yan Xiaonan in a position to try and attempt the submission, she wasn't going position over submission. She was hunting the sub without having it locked in and wasn't even trying to lock in her submissions properly. I believe all said and done, they said she attempted 14 submission attempts on Yan Xiaonan. Not a single one of them ever had her in any kind of legitimate trouble anywhere throughout that goddamn fight, because Mackenzie was fighting sloppy because she's a terrible fucking fighter. That's how she does it. Xiaonan stayed cool and composed under fucking fire, was giving Mackenzie the fucking business on the feet, just could not stop the takedowns. That was the one area I will say Yan Xiaonan needs to get some improvement on. Now, to her credit, I give her incredible props for someone who's like Song Yadong, a non-English speaker in the team alpha male gym, and I don't understand why, because there's no one in that gym worth a shit and hasn't been for a long fucking time. Uriah Faber is a horrible fucking coach. He wasn't that great of a fucking fighter towards the end, ruined his own fucking legacy, and was never any good of a fucking coach. So I said it on Instagram and I'll say it again. I'm very curious as to what the fuck he has going on at Alpha Male that so many, specifically South Korean and Chinese non-English speakers, are coming over to train in that gym. And unfortunately, not a lot of them are getting the results they should be, in a lot of people's opinion, including mine. And I blame that on Uriah fucking Faber being a little bitch. He was not a good fighter. He had his moments way early on, but he was not a great fighter overall. And he is not, nor has he ever been, even a remotely decent coach. You are not James Krause. Stop it. But Yan gets the fucking decision win at the end. Good on her. I agree 100% it was. I could see how some people might have wanted to call it for a draw. There's no way in hell Mackenzie Derp actually won that goddamn fight. I don't give a fuck how much Mark Zuckerberg wanted to fucking see her. Sorry, not gonna fucking happen. That being said, though, I'm not mad that the UFC is giving more money out when they give out extra bonuses. What bothers me is that you can't be consistent with it. If we're going to give everybody that gets a finish bonus, give everybody that gets a finish a fucking bonus. If we're only going to do finish bonuses and no fight of the nights, then stop doing fight of the night bonuses. But if we're going to do both of them and hold meaning for both of them, like the UFC is still trying to do, then you have to have consistency with them. 2 performances of the night, 1 fight of the night on every goddamn card. Otherwise, you screw your own ratio, you screw your own statistics, and devalue your own bonus statistic, for fuck's sake. That being said, we did get a fight of the night and several performance bonuses last night. Fight of the night went to Santos versus Castanado. Good fight, not fight of the night, in my opinion. Not top 5. It was a good fight, but it was not fight of the night. Performance of the night bonuses went to Brandon Allen, Chelsea Chandler, Guido Canetti, and Joaquim Silva. Finishers, but not all of the finishers. So again, consistency, for fuck's sake. But those were the fights that we had this weekend. So we are going to go ahead and call that all for this particular episode. I said it on the late version of the I'm No Joe podcast on Friday this week, which you can go back and rewatch if you missed. And I will repeat it again here for those of you who might have missed it. Much like last week, there is no UFC card this coming week. There are no real major cards at all coming up in the combat sports world this week. So once again, we will get another 1-week break from the I'm No Joe podcast proper. There will be no I'm No Joe podcast this coming Thursday. We will be back the following Thursday for the rebrought round 2 semifinal matchup of the Pit Grand Prix, and the full podcast with all of your goodness breakdowns and whatnots as you have come to know and love. But that being said, if you like what we do around here, youtube.com/I'm No Joe. All videos stay up for replay. The I'm No Joe podcasts themselves, Thursday nights, 9:30 p.m.-ish Central Time on the YouTube channel, also get put in all audio format a week after they broadcast on the anchor.fm/I'm No Joe to be picked up to your podcast consumption platform of choice. The all audio version goes up a week after it airs on YouTube. There was something else I was going to say, and I forgot what the fuck it was. So we'll just go ahead and finish it out. If you like what we get up to around here, make sure you are subscribed on whatever platform you are consuming this on. Make sure your notifications are turned on so you don't miss an episode. If you would like to help what we do around here, the easiest way to do that is patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name at the end of every single video we put up on this channel as a thank you. You also get access to the unaired and literally unairable content that we are forced by law to put behind an age-gated paywall. You want to know what that content is? Give a buck and find out. It's worth it, I promise. That being said, if you don't like what we get up to around this channel here, first and foremost, go fuck yourself. Secondly, give us a thumbs down. We won't even dispute it. Go about your fucking business. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. Thank you everyone who tuned in, whether you were catching this live or on the replay. We appreciate you. We're calling that all for now, though. So remember, folks, until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's Tom Brady beating the Chiefs. Fuck you, Tom.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made